Yes, you did.
Okay, I did. Yes, Willie Nelson on 94.3 The Ox. Time for Coffee Talk, brought to you by the Comanche Chamber of Commerce and Agriculture. Check them out at hashtag Explore Comanche, Texas. As we welcome into the studio, Miss Cynthia Newton with Hope Counseling. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
It's been a bit since I've seen you.
It has, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
I saw you on the Facebook, though, with the kiddos out at the livestock show.
At the
there.
Erath County Livestock Show, yeah, we had a great time. Once everybody was feeling better. They weren't feeling good at the beginning of the week, which is why I wasn't here. But once everybody was feeling better, we were out there volunteering, and actually that's something we're going to be talking about a little bit today is things to overcome loneliness. So,
okay.
We had a blast, and I will tell you the things that a 5-year-old can do when it comes into a concession stand are just, I mean, he just really impressed me. He was on the money with giving out coffee and popcorn. He even made up his little popcorn jingle, and I mean, I you know, all I needed was to put a tray on him going outside going popcorn, cotton candy, and I mean, I'm sure he would have probably sold 20 times more. But anyway, it's hard to say no to a 5-year-old.
Sure.
Really
yeah, that marketing 101. Oh, no.
Don't injure yourself over there.
I'm trying not to.
Anyway, but today we're going to talk about loneliness. Especially, you know, we're coming off the holidays, you know, things are kind of just starting to get back into routine, whatever that means right now, because as the COVID numbers go up, it's kind of crazy again.
Yeah, it is.
But we're kind of in that COVID routine now anyway. But loneliness is kind of a big thing. Kids are really starting back. A lot of schools that didn't start back next week are starting back today and tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So, you know, parents are finally able to breathe again. Myself included. Anyway, so it's kind of like, okay, kids are back in school. What do we do? I mean, okay, now that loneliness kind of starts to hit. You're busy, sure. And you feel alone. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what that is and what causes loneliness and how we overcome it. Okay, right. So first off, when we look at lonely people in today's world, there's more of us than before. Despite so many convenient ways to connect, including texting, social media, and all of that, that doesn't combat the loneliness that we encounter. It's an epidemic. I mean, it truly has become an epidemic. We're the most socially connected society at this point, yet so many people experience extreme loneliness. I mean, when you think about that, we are the most socially connected society. Right. Yet the numbers themselves, when you look at it, I mean, it is just amazing how many people truly experience extreme loneliness. So the problem of loneliness has a surprising impact. It can drill into both the mental and the physical health. So we're going to talk about that. Okay. But first, I want to kind of explain something, the difference between loneliness and solitude. Okay, because loneliness is not solitude. Okay, so everybody thinks loneliness, oh, well, you know, they're just alone and whatever. There's more to it than that. So common definitions describe it as a state of solitude or being alone. Loneliness is actually a state of mind. It causes people to feel empty, alone, and unwanted. People who are lonely often crave human contact, but their state of mind makes it more difficult to form connections with other people. So they may crave contact. I mean, they may be in a huge social setting, but they're still lonely. Right. Okay, research clearly shows that loneliness and isolation are bad for both mental and physical health. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. In fact, solitude has a number of important mental health benefits, including allowing people to better focus and recharge. So solitude can be good to help somebody combat loneliness. So, again, loneliness is marked by feelings of isolation despite wanting social connections. It's often perceived as an involuntary separation, rejection, or abandonment by other people. Solitude, on the other hand, is voluntary. People who enjoy spending time by themselves continue to maintain positive social relationships that they can return to when they crave that connection. They still spend time with others, but these interactions are balanced with periods of time alone. So, we feel loneliness when the relationships and connections we have don't equal the relationships and connections we need. Wait a minute, what is that? Yeah. We feel loneliness when the relationships and the connections that we have do not equal the relationships and the connections that we need. So we may have relationships and connections, but when they don't equal what our body and what our mind is saying we need, we're going to feel lonely.
Right.
That may look different for different people because we all have different needs. Okay? Loneliness doesn't always look like the person, like I said, sitting alone at the party. You may feel like you are carrying everything alone. You may feel like nobody would even know if you disappeared. You may feel that if you are feeling lonely, then you must be unlikable. It may show up in your life in the form of anger, irritability, disengaging from social activities, among other ways. We are very polarized right now with the political climate and the pandemic, leading to an increase in people feeling disconnected. Imagine that. It's really crazy how everything kind of comes together. But there are 3 types of connection that we as humans need. There is an intimate connection that may be found with a best friend, family member, or a spouse. This is with someone that we confide in or are very close to. There's a social connection that would be found in a good group of friends. And then there is a collective connection that we find with a group of people that we share a sense of purpose with. This may be in church group or volunteer group. We can have strong connections to 2 of these types of connections, but still have feelings of loneliness because we're not meeting all 3. Every person experiences these feelings at some point in their lives. So, all right, that's a lot of information, and you're sitting here going, okay, but what do we do with that? Where do we go with that? What now? Speak English. I can speak English, really. I can also speak Spanish and Pig Latin, and but okay, so. There's also, I said earlier that loneliness not only affects the physical, not only affects mentally, but physically as well. So how does loneliness hurt? Feeling lonely is an unpleasant experience that can also have long-term health consequences. Okay? We know clearly that sitting, smoking, and obesity are linked to chronic disease. That's a given. We know that. Nobody's really going to argue with that.
Yeah.
But I think of loneliness as another risk factor for chronic health conditions. You're like, why? I don't really understand. Well, loneliness isn't the same thing as social isolation. It's more about how you perceive your level of connectedness to others. Someone who's socially isolated and doesn't have a lot of social contacts may not feel lonely at all, but someone else may feel lonely even when they're surrounded by lots of people. Okay? So you're kind of getting this concept that it's not just about who's around you. When you're experiencing loneliness, your levels of cortisol, do you know what cortisol is?
I've been trying to cut down.
Okay. Well, it's a stress hormone that your body produces. So your levels of cortisol actually go up when you're lonely. Okay? Wow. So this is your body's physical response to a situation. It's really kind of amazing when you start. I've talked many times about how the brain works and how the chemicals in the body really can affect us mentally.
Sure.
And it's really amazing, as a scientist to look at, how all of that comes together. But cortisol can impair cognitive performance. That means you make really dumb decisions.
Right.
Yeah. Oh.
I've been trying to cut down on that too.
It can compromise the immune system, meaning your immune system's going to be down. So you're in contact with somebody more than 6 feet distance, and they're sick. You very likely will get. Yeah, you are a magnet. You become a magnet for all those things that just because your cortisol is not where it needs to be. Okay. It also can increase your risk for vascular problems or heart disease, as well as inflammation, inflammation of your any type of muscle issues or anything like that. It can actually lead to that. So, physical symptoms of a state of mind.
Right.
So physical symptoms of loneliness. Wait, what? I've never heard of this. So, it's really important to really understand that it's huge to identify and be able to identify these things in yourself. Okay, so some of the consequences of loneliness are weak social connections that can cause physical problems, like I said, but also including dementia, depression, anxiety, heart disease, sleep issues, impulsive behavior. Kyle, we know about your impulsivity, and impaired judgment. Okay, don't be making rash decisions to go sell your house and move, over the country when you're not in good mental health.
Right.
Studies have shown that people with stronger social connections have a longer, healthier lifespan. Imagine that. Oh. It's really kind of crazy how everything just fits together when we think about it. and how it all comes about. Anyway, I won't sing for you. Not this morning.
You almost did.
Yeah, I'm not in the mood. Anyway, it also has a wide range of negative effects on physical, including you may have an increase in alcohol and drug misuse, antisocial behavior, again, decreased memory and learning. You can really sometimes see that as huge. Increased stress levels, depression and suicide as well can all be associated with loneliness. Are also some of these chemical responses. So just be aware, being aware. And that's what we're going to talk about. How am I aware? What comes next? Was it the chicken or the egg? I'm all over the place this morning.
I was going to wrangle you in, but I don't know where to wrangle you to.
Sorry. So how do we turn loneliness around? First off, becoming aware of your feelings. It's normal to feel lonely occasionally, but if you're noticing that you're feeling it more often than not, it's time to take actions. Understanding the health impacts, which we've talked about. People may take care of themselves, but a social connection is just as important as following a healthy diet and getting enough sleep. Work for greater social connections. Examples: plan to spend time with a friend instead of catching up via text. Even opting for phone conversation over an email can help you feel more connected. Small daily decisions can also help. Make a point of walking down the hall to speak to a coworker instead of sending an instant. These are huge impacts. We get so wrapped up in our phones and just that quick. Oh, I'm just going to send an e-message. It's going to take less time, but go make that personal connection. See somebody. You don't feel so isolated and alone. Do small favors for people or random acts of kindness. Those kinds of things are really powerful and help improve your connection. Take a social media break. Social media, it can overwhelm us. It can overpower us. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. So, don't be afraid to take that social media break, to pull back, to make yourself more intentional in seeking out true relationships. Focus on quantity, not quality. Focus on quality, not quantity. What the heck, man? A coffee date with a friend with whom you have an authentic connection will do more to fix your loneliness than having thousands of Facebook friends or Instagram followers.
Sure.
So quality is huge. Seek out a professional counselor if you need one. Don't be afraid to seek out professional help. Feeling lonely is sometimes a symptom of depression. A therapist can help you work through this and develop strategies for working with others. How do you improve your relationships? To have better connections with others, we need a better connection with ourselves. See your own values, that you have something to offer others, and then be yourself. When you're trying to be someone you aren't, you will leave every interaction with someone emotionally drained. So be yourself. When you put on that face and you pretend, you're going to be drained, because pretending in itself is draining. Be who you are. If you're just really down, it's okay, to not have that fake smile all the time.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to be someone you're not, remember that's going to be more difficult on you than being who you are. Realize that we need each other. We've been taught to feel some type of shame when we admit we need help. We shouldn't. We were born needing connection, and while it can be admirable to be self-sufficient, it is also admirable to ask for help or advice. Finally, practice self-confidence. In difficult moments, it's essential to practice self-kindness. Okay? Blaming ourselves when we feel lonely is not helpful. So be careful about self-talk. Self-talk is huge. Self-talk is something that y'all have heard me talk about many, many times, and the negative impacts. So be aware of that. Capitalize on that present moment. When you feel good about something, and it may just be, hey, I woke up and I'm not hurting this morning. You know what? Capitalize on that. Say something to somebody that, is really close to, hey, you know what? I woke up and I feel good this morning and I'm going to have a good day. Capitalize on that. It's the small things that are going to help you get through. Rethink about how you spend your spare time. Go volunteer. That's huge.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I really feel at times this week of like, okay, I want to go work in a concession stand for 10 hours?
Yeah.
No, I didn't feel like it. Did I feel better when I got there? Heck yeah. It was so much fun being around other people, interacting with people, talking about the organization that I was representing. Just that interaction. I was drained, sure. But you know what? It was fulfilling.
Yeah.
It was fulfilling. I didn't feel lonely, whereas I could have just sat at home and just been alone with my children, which I'm never alone with my children, but I mean, I could have, been that way, and it just, fed that depression. But instead it was like, no, we're going to go volunteer. Let's all go together. Let's do this. And yeah, absolutely, it helped me feel better. Get out and do that. You don't have to spend 10 hours in a concession stand, but find something that's enjoying to you, or an organization you want to help with. So, be active online. That's a big thing. Being passive, surfing through that social media, golly, that can actually be like detrimental to you. Because first off, social media in itself is not a portrayal of reality, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So you need to be active and interacting online, maybe chat with people, maybe talk to people, but also share for real online. Don't share that fuzzy, warm picture. Share for real. Maybe share thoughts that you might know would help somebody else. Okay? Maybe you come across something that is really inspirational to you. Share that for others. Don't just always share, this beautiful meal that I ate today, or, and all those things, but post things that are real. Yeah. Okay? Real life. Stop focusing so much on you. Okay? Instead focus on the others and those around you. Generate a sense of awe. What does that mean? Like when we witness the birth, think about when you witness the birth of a new baby or a majestic mountain. Make time seem like it's standing still and help us be more open to connecting. Sometimes something about feeling small in the context of a big world appears to help us see ourselves as a part of a whole, which may help us feel less alone. So expose yourself to something that creates awe, like landscapes, new experiences. Something of that. Spend money on experience, not on things. Okay, what do you think that means, Kyle?
Like go do something.
Go do something. Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah.
So you might spend something like going on a canoeing trip, or going to a beach party, or hosting an art and craft night, or other group activities that may just encompass the painting with a twist. I've not done that because I'm not that artistic, and I'm afraid I would really, really, really do bad, but everybody tells me to go try it.
Yeah.
I mean, just little things like that you might experience. Okay. And again, pay attention to things that matter. Okay. Don't expect to improve our loneliness when you don't know what the cause of it is. It's hard. So it's helpful to start paying attention to the present moment. Okay. Be aware of what's going on. Be aware of what's causing it. It may be something very minor that you don't really know what it is. It may be just a lack of connection that you're missing. Okay, create a vision board. Look at goals. Look at things for yourself. Always having something to look towards is good. And again, volunteer. I can't say much more about volunteering because it's just a way to give back. It's a way to do more. In our society, we just don't volunteer like we used to.
No.
I mean, in fact, I was talking with somebody this weekend about that, and about how my kids, they just know, okay, this is expected. We're going to volunteer, and I've just ingrained that in them. And I was ingrained in that as a child. But so many people have just gotten away from that because we don't have time.
Sure.
Well, we have time for the things that we want to make time for.
Right.
I mean, in essence.
Yeah.
So anyway, as always, guys, loneliness can lead to pretty significant depression, and be aware of that. And I just want to remind you that we're here for you at Hope Counseling of Texas, with offices in Comanche, Hamilton, Eastland, and Dublin. We are back in the swing of things. I know we've kind of had some illnesses and the holidays and different things, but we are back in full force. So please give us a call, 325-356-1105. If we can do anything for you, reach out to us, contact us. Again, if you need help with you or your kids or whatever might be going on, we're here for you. Again, Comanche, Hamilton, Eastland, and Dublin at 325-356-1105, Hope Counseling of Texas. And I thank y'all for continuing to listen to me babble.
All right, Cynthia Newton, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Fastest internet Comanche has ever seen. Call to Telecom for lightning fast fiber to home and fiber to